What's up, everyone? This is Pooka, and welcome to another edition of Bad Deck Monday, where we take a fun idea and see if we can run with it, and, just try to be creative, and, hey, let's just see what happens. Alright, so this deck is going to be kind of a rehashed version of an old deck, and that's going to revolve around this Pokemon, Vileplume. So, Vileplume has the ability Allergy Panic. Apply weakness for each Pokemon as ×4 instead of the normal ×2. So all weaknesses become ×4. Obviously, when we're running this, we want to try to take advantage of our opponent's weakness. So we're going to run lots and lots of different types of attackers. So the way it works, we have ×4 weakness, and then we can run cards like Silver Bangle and Muscle Band to knock out just about anything in one hit that has a weakness. So let's take a look at the different types of Pokemon we have. First off, we have this Rayquaza. This is an easy inclusion into the deck. Lots of Pokemon are weak to Dragon type. So for 1 Lightning Energy, we have Dragon Pulse, does 40. Now if we have a Muscle Band attached and Vileplume in play, we would then have a 60 damage attack ×4, which is 240 damage for just 1 energy, knocking out any dragon Pokemon. If we have a Silver Bangle, it is 280 damage. So you can knock out dragon Pokemon quite easily with this and Vileplume in play. For our fighting type, we have Stunfisk for 1 fighting, and a Silver Bangle Muddy Water will knock out any fighting weak EX Pokemon. Reshiram has Outrage, same concept, Silver Bangle knocks out fire Pokemon. Also, if you happen to get damaged by an attack, that just means Outrage does even more damage. So we do have Reshiram. We have our little guy Combee for the grass Pokemon. This is one of my favorite Pokemon to use in this deck. Just for 1 grass energy and then either a Muscle Band or a Silver Bangle, we can Sting Missile. And Combee doesn't even have to get hurt. We can just shuffle the tiny bee Pokemon back into our deck. This little 30 HP Pokemon can hit EXs for over 200 damage for 1 energy once Vileplume is in play. So Combee, I don't even know if it's necessary because we do have other grass Pokemon, but this is my favorite Pokemon in the deck. It's just so innocent looking, and you just knock out a Keldeo EX for 1 grass. It's awesome. Speaking of other grass Pokemon, we do have Oddish. In case we didn't want to use Combee, we could use Oddish's Acid instead for 2 colorless energy. It's just 1 double colorless energy, and we can Acid with a Silver Bangle, knocking out any grass weak Pokemon EX. And we need Oddish to evolve into Vileplume. We run a Gloom as well. We don't really want to attack with this. It's just an easier way to get Vileplume into play. For our Lightning type, we have Emolga. I like running Pokemon that can do 2 different things, that they don't just cover the type, they can have other purposes as well. Emolga can fill 3 purposes here. The first one is our lightning type attacker. Static Shock with a Silver Bangle knocks out lightning weak EXs. Call for Family can set us up, get 2 basic Pokemon and put them on my bench. And it also has free retreat, so it's a nice Pokemon to promote after a knockout, and then you just get free retreat into a bench Pokemon. So very versatile Pokemon, I like that. Next up, we have Cobalion EX for our Metal-type Pokemon. Righteous Edge does 30. With a Muscle Band, it'll do 200. Pretty darn good for 1 energy. It also doubles as a special energy discarder. So that's pretty nice against some decks. You can slow them down. A lot of decks really rely on those special energy. So Righteous Edge is a great attack as well, and covers Metal-type, which now covers Fairy-type Pokemon, so this can be very important. Next up, we have Mewtwo, but probably not the one you're used to. Mewtwo has Power Edge for 30 damage, and with a Silver Bangle or a Muscle Band can knock out just about any Psychic weak Pokemon once Vileplume hits the field. So it'll be a different type of Mewtwo war once this Mewtwo hits the field, but hey, it'll knock out the EX nonetheless. And I believe our final Pokemon here is Fione. This is kind of a strange Pokemon, but it's really cool. It also serves a dual purpose here. The first one is Aqua Boomerang It's our water type attack. It's really cool actually because Aqua Boomerang, it returns this Pokemon to your hand. So say we put a Silver Bangle on it, that would return back to our hand and we'd get the knockout. And we get to keep the Silver Bangle and the Fiona as well. So this is probably the coolest Pokemon in the deck because you get to keep your resources. You don't have to, lose the Pokemon every time you attack for a knockout. You can just do it over and over. And if your opponent is playing something that's just weak to water, you can just keep getting knockouts repeatedly with this one little Pokemon. Now, the other cool thing is pull out. For one colorless, you can put a card from your discard pile on top of your deck. So it's a very versatile attack, allows you to recover cards, and it's just overall very, very good. So this is one of my favorite Pokemon in the deck as well. You'll notice we didn't run a few types of Pokemon. The first one is colorless. Nothing is really weak to colorless. The second one is fairy. Nothing is weak to fairy yet. And the third one is dark. You could run a regular Eviltal in this deck, but there aren't too many Pokemon that are weak to dark these days. There's things like Dusknoir and Chandelure, but they're not really that popular. If you really wanted to, you could add a dark type Pokemon, but I don't think you really need to. Alright, so it takes a while to explain all the different types of Pokemon, but there they are. Of course, we do have the 3 Silver Bangle and the 2 Muscle Band. Otherwise, not too crazy on the cards. We have a lot of ways to search out Pokemon. 3 Ultra Ball, this is your all-purpose card. I have 1 Heavy Ball, this can search for Stunfisk, Rayquaza, Vileplume, just a nice card to have. And 2 Level Ball, since a lot of our Pokemon are 90 HP or under as well, and can also get us Oddish, which we need to set up with. You might want to go with a 4th Ultra Ball over the 2nd Level Ball, kind of personal preference. We also have 2 Super Rod, since we do need to shuffle the Pokemon back in if our opponent's playing just a deck that's weak to only one type. Say we need to keep using Rayquaza to knock out more Black Gyarmy X or something like that. We need to shuffle them back in the deck. We also have 1 Town Map, since our types are so important. We need to hit weakness. We need to dig a Pokemon out of the prizes in certain matchups if we don't have it. So Town Map is a nice card to include. Otherwise, we got some switching cards here. We just got 1 Switch, 1 Escape Rope, 1 Float Stone. Gets the job done. And then, this might seem a little bad, but there's only 2 Rare Candy in the deck. Why would there only be 2 Rare Candy? Well, we have to run so many different cards that it's difficult to find space. So we only have 2 Rare Candy. You're not going to get a turn 2 Vileplume very often, but, we just need to get it into play and start taking those one-hit knockouts, and that's the important thing. For supporters, we have 4 N, 3 Colress, 3 Skyla, and then only 2 Professor Juniper, because discarding resources in this deck is kind of bad. You really need those Silver Bangles, the Muscle Bands, the Energy, the correct types of Pokemon, and you don't really want to discard your hand too often. So we're only going to run 2. Most decks run 4. And we also have 2 Tropical Beach. This deck is very, very slow. So I do run Tropical Beach. Of course, if you don't want to, this is just a fun deck. So you can go ahead and play it without Tropical Beach, but it's more fun to me to set up than to lose repeatedly. So I think that covers it. We also have the Energy, 4 Rainbow Energy and 4 Prism Energy. This allows us to cover all the types very easily. And then 3 double colors to fulfill those attacks like Outrage and Power Edge. Alright, so this is the overview of the deck. Of course, I did play a game with it as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that and see the mighty Vileplume deck in action. So it looks like I am going first with a doozy of a hand. Of course, the downside of playing so many Colress is you just start with it as your only supporter sometimes. But that's alright. We'll see if we can find a way out of this. We're going up against a Deoxys, so that is a Team Plasma deck, I would assume. Or it could be a Virizion Genesect deck. Those also run Deoxys EX. I would say those are the 2 decks that run those the most. You can usually figure out what deck your opponent is playing based on their opening Pokemon. It's not always the case, but a lot of the time you can kind of figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and level ball here, grab an Oddish, get that into play. Along with that Fion, we'll just get that on the bench. And I don't think I want a Colress for 2. And I could attach the double colors to Reshiram, but I don't feel like that's going to matter, so I'm just going to pass. My opponent's going to play a Skyla, and we'll see what happens. An interesting thing to note is that energy attachments are so crucial in this deck. Since you run all special energy, every attachment is kind of crucial. And you don't want to burn energy if you don't have to, because you can run out. You need certain types, that double colors, I'll need that in case Deoxys attacks, so I can power up my Mewtwo. So that's just something to keep in mind. This deck can be pretty tricky to use. And we did see a Frozen City come into play. So now, wow, we see a Plasma Curum as well. I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball, discarding. I'm going to get rid of Silver Bangle. And let's see, the second discard is going to be tough. I don't want to get rid of Super Rod. I want to get rid of my supporter. I don't want to get rid of the DC. I don't want to get rid of the Rainbow. But eventually I'm just going to decide on the Rainbow. Right, we'll grab the Gloom. And this might be a turn where I just say, oh, well, let's just play the Colress for 3 and see what we get. 3 cards is better than the 2 I have, and okay, it looks not so much better. But I will Outrage for 40, that Frozen City, powering up Outrage a little bit, but the 20 damage on me might make it easier for my opponent to use Kyurem's Frost Spear to knock out the Reshiram, so maybe not a good thing. This deck is not very consistent, I will say that much. It is very slow to set up a lot of the time. It's just one of those decks where if it does pull off its magic, it is amazing. But most of the time, it's not going to do that, as you're seeing right here. So we do see a Shadow Triad for a Team Plasma Ball getting a Thunderous EX. That's probably not a very good sign for my opponent. Probably doesn't have a very good hand either. So now we'll see what we can do. Unfortunately, I don't have anything. So I might, let's see, I might retreat to Fion here. Yeah, I'm going to drop the Float Stone onto the Reshiram, retreat, and we're going to use Pull Out. Now we're going to grab a Colress again. At least give me some way to draw more cards next turn. Seems like a decent plan here. And at least we'll be able to draw like 4 or 5 cards next turn. And uh-oh, now we see a Lugia and a Genesect and a Sycamore. Uh-oh. Now we may be in some trouble. My opponent seems to be gaining steam, and we see a Scramble Switch into the Kyurem and a Muscle Band. Uh-oh, here is a Colress Machine as well. Oh. I think that might have been a misclick. Accidentally put the energy onto Thunderous EX? I don't think that was intentional. But we'll see. My opponent has not attached an energy yet. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But sometimes misclicks happen. I've done that quite a bit online. It's tricky sometimes. And yeah, I think that's what happened. So I actually catch a break there. I was not hit by Frost Spear. And now I am able to Colress for a mighty 7 cards, and we get some good stuff going. So I will have, let's see, I got the Vileplume in play. That's the important thing. The cool thing about Vileplume is it does resist water, so it's very difficult for Kyurem to knock it out. With that Muscle Band and the 2 Deoxys in play, though, it would knock me out with a Blizzard Burn, so that's something I have to keep in mind. So basically, I'm just trying to figure out what to do right now. We have an Ultra Ball. I could play that and maybe get the Cobalion EX into play. That's an option. Looks like I'm just going to use Pull Out, though, and we'll go ahead and then take a Colress back so I get another supporter for next turn. Seems like a good plan. I'll be able to draw quite a lot of cards next turn, so let's see what happens. Fion looks like it's about to go down here. but it's definitely put in the work. There's no water weak Pokemon in that Plasma deck, I don't think. So I don't need it as an attacker, but it definitely earned its place right here. And now we do see the Colress machine, and it goes to the correct place this time. There's the Frost Spear for 70 damage, and then 30 to the Mewtwo. Alright, we're going to need to start doing something soon. I'm going to go ahead and play the Ultra Ball, discard the Rare Candy, and the Heavy Ball. We'll get our big bad Cobalion EX into play. And we will try to Righteous Edge this turn. Hopefully we get a Muscle Band along with an Energy, and that would be a knockout. So let's go, and alright, we got it. So there is the Cobalion EX. I'm going to go ahead and bench the Stunfisk, and I think a Molga might be a good Pokemon to bench as well, because there's a Lugia. We would have all the types covered for our opponent. Lugia weak to Lightning, Genesect weak to Fire, Thundurus weak to Fighting, Kyurem weak to Metal, and Deoxys weak to Psychic. And here we go with the 200 damage Righteous Edge. Take that, Plasma Kyurem. I'm actually not sure why I didn't bench Emolga there. That was kind of silly, but oh well. We'll see what happens from here. We have now tied the game, 5 prizes apiece. And let's see if we can capitalize on our 4 times weakness advantage. Thundurus EX does come out, has the Plasma Energy on it on accident already. We'll see what kind of attack happens this turn. Absol could be a pretty powerful Pokemon at this point. If I don't get a Muscle Band for Stunfisk, I might not be able to knock out the Absol. And Mind Jack is a pretty powerful attack. Absol only is 100 HP, but I mean when it can pull off a couple Mind Jacks, if it ever survives more than one turn, geez, it's going to deal a lot of damage. We do see an Escape Rope. Kind of a strange play here. And Absol will be sent out against Reshiram. So kind of confusing plays right now. Not really sure what's going on, but hey, we'll see what we can do. All right, Reshiram is active. We see a couple Plasma Energy are gone already. And I gotta find a way to just take knockouts from here. The worst part about this deck is you can get the Vileplume out, you can get the right Pokemon out, you can get everything out, and then if you miss like the Muscle Band or the Silver Bangle when you need it, well, you don't get knockouts still. So kind of annoying. But let's go ahead and I guess I'm just trying to take a look at what my opponent has used so far, as the game has been quite confusing so far. Let's just say that much. I don't think I want to end my opponent since there's only 2 cards. So I'm going to attach to the Stunfisk, and we'll just Outrage for 40 damage. Just so we can soften that up for a Muddy Water on the following turn, since that would only do 80 damage here. Oh, we do see a Tool Scrapper. That is a bummer. And an N from my opponent. So things not going quite so well right now. We lost the Muscle Band on the Cobalion EX, but I don't think I'll need to use it again. A lot of these Plasma decks focus on Lugia nowadays and don't play as many Kyurem as before, so we don't have to worry about that as much anymore. And oh, we see a red signal from the Genesect and a pass. So my opponent really didn't gain anything that turn, but he got the Vileplume into the active spot, which is pretty darn annoying. But oh, we got a Dowsing Machine off of the N to 5 here. So after that Tool Scrapper, put the Floatstone in the discard pile. We can Dowsing Machine for a Floatstone. Floatstone onto the Vileplume and retreat into Stunfisk. Now I have this Energy here. It's my only one in my hand. I'm not sure if I should attach it anywhere. If I put it on Cobalion EX, maybe I could power up for an eventual Steel Bullet. Maybe I'll need that, but I'm just going to hold on to it, I think. Because I might need it for like Emolga. In case, like Lugia comes up or something. And we'll just Muddy Water, put the 20 damage onto Thundurus EX. So if that comes out, we can just attach and Rumble. And we won't have to waste, like a Silver Bangle or a Muscle Band. Because we could just Rumble for 160 damage. That's a mighty powerful Rumble. That's more like an Earthquake, I would think. Let's see. My opponent has promoted Lugia EX here. I'm not sure what that's all about. Boy. Another red signal. This time brings out Mewtwo. And my opponent will pass the turn. Now I do have a Skyla here and an N. I think I might just Skyla for a switch or something like that. Get the Mewtwo out of the active spot. This is a very awkward game. That's what this kind of a deck does, though. You know, it puts your opponent in awkward positions. Probably puts them in spots they've never seen before. And, you know, just makes them think. And sometimes when people are presented with weird situations, they make poor decisions. And, I don't know. We're going to see if we can capitalize. Going to switch into Emolga and get a mighty static shock for 80 damage. Unfortunately, we were not able to have a Silver Bangle as well. Otherwise, that Lugia would have fallen to the might of the winking Emolga with hearts everywhere on it. Oh no, Thunderous EX comes out, and we see a switch. And oh, the ×4 weakness really putting the hurt on Emolga as he gets hit by a Raiden Knuckle for 200. Ouch! Poor little guy. It's okay, though. We can respond with our 200 damage attack of our own. And I'm going to go ahead and attach that Silver Bangle to the Stunfisk. We'll be able to retreat into it, and we can go for the big old Muddy Water. I'm not sure where to attach this energy right now. I put it on the Mewtwo. That probably should have went on Cabalion EX, since that could still knock out Lugia with the Steel Bullet. But we're going to Muddy Water for 200 damage, take down the Thunderous EX, and see what we can do from here. Now, pretty much any Pokemon my opponent leaves active is in a lot of trouble. Genesect EX can fall prey to Reshiram very easily. A Deoxys EX can fall victim to Mewtwo and the Power Edge. Lugia might actually survive, because I don't really have an attacker powered up to take it down right now, but in a couple turns it'll fall as well. So my opponent is going to Ultra Ball for a Thunderous EX. That's kind of strange. And a third Deoxys EX comes down. Are we going to see the Thunderous as well? It is weak to Stunfisk, so I would just be able to Muddy Water for the victory. And our amazing Stunfisk can slay two 170 HP Pokemon with 1 energy attacks. And yes, we just see a Raiden Knuckle. I'm not sure what's going on here. And we're going to get ready to rumble and do 280 damage to the Thunderous EX as our Vileplume deck takes down a powerful Team Plasma deck. And that is just what can happen when you have ×4 weakness on your side. Boy, what a strange game that was. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly will have some more videos for you guys soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.